morning, guys. So
Morning.
it's Kat and Andrew.
I'm back.
A good measure. And we just wanted to take a morning and let you know that we're a team. Sometimes Andrew's behind the camera. Sometimes I'm just doing it myself, and I'm so thankful for my husband being putting up with all my idiosyncrasy. I'll tell you what, for a Christian couple, we had a little bit of a tip this morning. So if you're going to pray over us, pray over our marriage. Because really, that's a testament to the Lord, is two people getting along and Him being the fulcrum and managing us under Him and just glorifying Him daily. So I'm sorry, honey.
Louisa.
All right, we're going to continue our series here. So we are still working on, making some really awesome foods. Maybe a lunch or a dinner, things that you can. If you have all the canning equipment. I'm hoping we can get into that eventually. Yeah, so we're still working on this whole series of things that you've gotten from the food pantry. So recently a bunch of people, they went to the food pantry and they dropped off a whole bunch of these potatoes. And I'm like, I think we've got 2 or 3 bags of just these. And these carrots, these aren't the best looking carrots, right? But like Food Link does, like a monthly, they do like a monthly mobile food pantry. Our buddy Art gave us an entire cooked spiral ham, which we're still working on processing, and we're down to the last of it. The food pantry, the food cupboard will give you things like shelf-stable milk, which there's no reason to be scared of. It's just shelf-stable milk. So you can, once opened, stick it in your fridge. But if you don't want your kids to drink it with, just like their cereal or just to drink, or you don't want to put it in your coffee, you can make some really lovely foods with it. And what else? We got a couple of pie crusts back here. I'm using sour cream in the recipe today, but we got some like minced garlic. See, even more potatoes. So that's kind of what we've been working on showing you. So today I'm going to make an ultimate potato soup. I'm going to do some substitutions, but it's amazing what you can do with these substitutions and make it taste even better than what the recipe calls for. But as I've been doing every day, I've been showing you that you can you can make sourdough bread without using bread starter. So as you can see, I made this overnight. So this is my bread that raised overnight on the counter. I'm hoping, is it in camera view?
Go up a little bit. There you go. You see that bulge of the plastic?
Yes, you can see like the bulge from the plastic,
This
but
one.
you can also see in the webcam, you can see it. This is a nice.
All right, now it comes this way a little bit. There you go.
This is a nice, beautiful dough that's ready to go in our bread pan, which I started the oven, so it's already on 450, and I've already got the bread pan that I plan on using, and I'm going to give this to my sister in the Lord, Donna Vanderbilt. Hi, Donna, if you're watching. She just loves this, and we haven't gotten over to our storage. I think the lock is still frozen. We're here in New York State, and it's cold, so I've been able to get out my huge loaf pans, but I'm going to bake it in an oval pan, and so like we've been doing with the beginning of these last couple of shows, we've been making bread. So that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to get my handy dandy gloves. Okay, so here we go. So right now, I'm just going to put a little bit of flour here on top of my parchment paper. I've got my pan in the oven, so grab some. Holder to take it out, and it is hot. I'm not kidding you. It's hot. So just move it a little closer to me. Open this guy up here, and I'll show you without the cellophane on. you can see it's very, very elastic. And that's what you want sourdough bread to be. So I'm going to actually get it right here on top of this parchment paper. And I'll take a scraper, hold it with one hand, you want to get it right on top of the flour, and there's a reason for that, because this is sticky. It's active yeast, and what that means is that it's live. So I raised it overnight. If you want to do face cam. Yeah. I raised it overnight. So that would have been a total of about 12 to 13 hour raise. You can do this recipe 2 different ways, because it's just 3 cups of bread flour or all-purpose flour, an entire packet of active yeast, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt or Mediterranean salt, big granule salt, and 1.5 cups of warm water. You stick it in a non-reactive bowl like this, which this is just, you know, like a ceramic stone bowl, and I've showed you a couple times. You just kind of mix it up, get it all inclusive, nothing crazy, and then wrap it in cellophane, and you let it raise. And you're going to let it raise for about 3.5 hours, 4.5 hours, until you see where you want it to be. I let mine go longer because I've just been doing little experiments with it, but it's totally your choice. All right. So I've got my what do you call it, dough scraper here. And I'm just gonna start to kind of fold the dough over. And you can see how sticky it is, which that's like the best thing you want. So once I kind of get it like that, put this off to the side. You're still on the webcam, right? I'm actually gonna take it and fold it. Just like that. You know, I'm not trying to push it down, punch it down, or anything like that, because if I did that, it would actually deflate this dough. So then I'm gonna carefully spread out my flour, and I'm just gonna turn it over like this. So I kind of know that my pan is oblong shaped, so that's what I want this to look like. And you see, I did not do much here. There was no stretching and folding and pulling and adding and all this other crazy stuff that you see these people do on TikTok videos. All right, so we got it just like this. Let me move this over to the side. Take off my gloves. And I'm going to bring my pan right here next to my dough. I'm going to pick it up like this. So you see, I just kind of like, you know, four-cornered it. I'm going to stick it right in the pan. And like I said, the pan had been in the oven heating up for about 20-25 minutes. Okay, here's the next step that I do. I just give it a nice split. So people can you can put decoration designs in it. That's your choice. I've done it before, but it's really not required. The next thing we do is we salt the crusty top. So, you know, I've got my Mediterranean salt here, but honestly, I filled this with kosher salt. So I'm just going to salt the top. Just like that. I don't need to put more flour on top, because that actually makes a nice kind of, it adds to the crust of it. My next thing I'm going to do is, I don't actually have a lid for this pan, and this pan is actually I guess you would call it like a roasting pan for, like, you know, like a nice cut of meat. Can you put it back on webcam? So This calls for this bread to be covered and baked for the first 30 minutes. So I'm just going to take the end of my foil. So I'm just going to take the foil and cover it. And this might seem difficult because, you know, the way the pan is shaped. And I'll be honest, it is. But you want to actually kind of keep your parchment paper away from it too. So first thing I do is lay it out. This pan is hot, I'm not lying. And so I'll take the one end and kind of fold it, the other end and punch it down. Fold it underneath the handle as you just saw. Same thing here. It's hot, I'm not lying. You know, and I want to cover it. I want a good seal on it, basically. That's a hot pan. Now we're going to stick it in the oven. You turn it to face cam. And just so you know, I lowered the rack to the lowest point. So, all right, it's in for 30 minutes and we're off and running. All right, guys, so we're back and we're gonna start adding our ingredients to this pot, which you can see is hot. One thing I added to it was some olive oil because the ham that I diced up is, you know, it doesn't have that much fat. We're gonna crisp this up. And you can hear it, right? So the cool thing about using ham instead of bacon is less fat in the recipe. Is it going to take away from the taste? No. I'm actually going to turn this up a little bit. It's not, because this was a fully cooked spiral cut ham that was given to us by our buddy Art. Hey Art, if you're watching, thank you so much for the ham. We've used it in so many recipes and we've enjoyed eating them with you. But, so the cool thing about this is that, as you can see, it's actually crisping up. And I'm going to turn it up just a little bit higher. Because we want to get it really toasty and really crispy. So I'm just going to leave it alone. And then I'm going to step over here. That was a little hot. I'm going to step over here and pull my bread out. Because I don't want it to continue, the bottom to continue cooking. Set this over here. That was a little hot. Remember, I have no fingerprints. But I can show you it's got a nice, beautiful bottom to it. And I can't wait to bless my friend with that. One thing I do plan on using today, you guys see this? This is my own canned apple pie filling. And I was asked to bless some friends with the pie for their fundraiser for the Victor Farmington Kiwanis Club. So I plan on making an apple crumb. Kind of one of the fan favorite pies of a good measure. But really, Jesus is the good measure in a good measure. Alright, so you can see, this is hot. And I'm hot too. Woo! So we're just crisping that up here. I'm actually going to go crack the window. So a little bit different than bacon is it's not going to take as long to cook, but you can see it's starting to get toasty. We're getting some brown bits on the bottom of the pan here and there.
Smells amazing.
It smells amazing. But not a lot of fat. I added the, I'm turning the heat up just a little bit more. I added the olive oil on purpose, and that's just because there's less fat, you could have, you know, the chance of like sticking to the bottom of the pan. Um, so I'm actually stirring it more than if it would be bacon. I'd actually, you know, kind of walk away from it and do some other things, you know. What do moms do? Moms constantly like, you know, multitask and stuff, but, you know, this is just a little bit different. So I'll grab my slotted spoon, get that ready, and find myself another bowl. And grab a drink of coffee.
It has the important stuff.
But I kind of wanted to show you. We actually have all the ingredients. Like, you know, I got my quarter cup of flour. We've got 1 cup or so of onion, diced onion. I'm adding more to this than what the recipe calls for. Look at, you can actually see the browning on the bottom here. That's one thing they really want for this soup is the smokiness. So we've got diced onion and carrot, cheddar cheese. This is a little over a cup. I've already got my 2 cups of chicken stock. It says warmed milk. I'm using the shelf milk, like I told you, because we got this from the Victor Farmington Food Pantry. But it doesn't have to be warm. It could just set on the counter. And milk can sit out for a couple hours. You can stick it right back in the fridge, whether it's shelf milk or regular milk. It can go right back in the fridge. And then we got our spices, the garlic, the sour cream. We got our potatoes that we already showed you. Better stir this around. Oh, we're almost there. I don't know if you guys can see this, but you can see it. It is literally crisping up just like bacon. I'll be excited for my my friend Kelly Bowerman Lindsay. Hey Kelly, hopefully you get to watch this too. She can let me know what she thinks with the substitution of ham and the inclusion of other things. I don't know if my husband has been posting the recipes, but like I said, you can always ask for it. You can message me, you can text me, 585-905-5236, but I love to share it. But yeah, we've got our spices, pepper, basil. I'm adding ground mustard. I got my own little savory mix. My daughter Violet gave me these cute little jars. Aren't they cute? Can you see it like right there? Rosemary. I'll be adding a little bit more salt. But that kind of, you know, that always says taste. Oh, and you see the bottom of the pan there. We're ready to go. So I'm going to move this off to the side here. Turn this down a little bit. And I'm going to remove my ham.
You can pass that bowl over here.
Excuse me, what?
So you can pass that bowl over here.
But you can see we've got quite a bit of smoky bacon hammy bits down here. And that's really what you want. That's really important for this recipe. But I'm not having to sift off, you know, all the bacon fat. Move this over here. So stick this right there. Now because I don't have the fat and there's not a lot in the bottom, I'm going to add a little bit of butter to it. And that's just a little bit.
Hey, no, she didn't ruin the pan. They actually still clean up pretty easy.
No, that's...
No, I'm saying you didn't ruin the pan because a lot of people see like that in the bottom of the pan.
No.
They think, oh, the pan's ruined, but it comes right up into the soup.
So I got some nice brown smoky bits down here. And I'm adding the butter because I don't have the bacon fat. And not everybody can afford bacon nowadays. So I'm turning it back up to medium, and I'm going to add all of the onion right now. You can hear Prissy in the background. So starting to get this going here. And then we're going to put in all of the celery. starting to do its thing, turning it up to medium. And you can see it's the onion and the celery are actually being coated with like the ham toasty smokiness. So that would be your bits. Then we're gonna add the garlic right here. So this came from the food pantry too. Isn't that neat? Somebody didn't think they'd use it because they wanted to use like their own real garlic. Well, that's cool. You can do that too. You've seen me a lot of times use real, you know, not real garlic. It's not like fake garlic, but you know, our own processed garlic that we actually, you know, got. So the recipe calls for 4 cloves of minced garlic. That's about a tablespoon, believe it or not. So making sure it's a tablespoon. And there you go. You can actually start to smell the aroma of the garlic and the onion and the celery. And we want to just cook these until the onion is translucent and very, very tender. So you're just going to be stirring as you go here. You know, so yesterday I was in a Bible study with these wonderful women from Calvary Chapel, Jericho Road, and we were reading from 1 Samuel. And something that I got from that lesson, and especially Samuel regretting the Lord instructing him to anoint Saul king, was that Saul was instructed to utterly destroy the Amaleks, like all the ites, you know, like that were, you know, that Israel was instructed to destroy when they came into the promised land, but they didn't. And it was just kind of something I see about myself a lot, is that I start doing something, and I start doing it with a heart and a desire for service in the Lord, and then at times it becomes self-serving, and it fails very quickly, and then there's like a period of despisement and regret. And the wonderful thing, though, is that the Lord sees us. The Lord sees us and He hears us. And ultimately, He knows the desires of our heart, and He knows the pieces of our hearts that we hide from others, because He can see inside us. You know, and I'm wearing a shirt today that says, Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. Well, a shepherd is meant to protect his sheep, guide his sheep, and know his sheep inside and out. Know their character flaws, know their wanderings. Just know them. And that's the wonderful thing, is that God knows us so well. And when we come to Him with a pure heart, and that's not because we're like super righteous, but when we come to Him with a heart that's not self-serving, He can do more with us than we ever dreamed. And our desire becomes His desire. And even if, as women, even if we say, oh yeah, my desire is to do God's will, we have to do it with a heart and a position of surrender. And it's hard. It's hard. It's even hard for my husband. But it's especially hard for women. Because we're built in a different way from our husbands. We're built to kind of, micromanage behind the scenes. But our husband is our covering and our banner and our protector, just like the Lord is. That's why it says in in Peter, in First Peter, you know, wives, submit yourselves to your husbands as you would submit yourselves to the Lord, because he can do so much, many more things than I would have ever dreamed. And giving him that power, giving my husband that power to lead, it's incredible what he can do. So, but, you know, follow through. Grow up, mature, and see where the Lord's going to take you. And if you don't know the Lord today, give him a chance. You know, kind of like test driving a new car. There's going to be bumps in the road. You're not going to know. How many buttons are on the dash or in the console of a car nowadays? You know, and nobody reads the instruction manual. Well, the good Lord has one for you. It's a living instruction manual for every situation, and it's called the Good News. It's the Bible. And remember, the story, it's already been won. Jesus did what the battle's over. We already know what's going to happen. We're just waiting for it to happen. And then we can live in victory and not have these bodies holding us back. All right. Going to add the flour now. So that was a 1/4 cup or so of flour. And we're just going to kind of, you know, we wanted to coat everything here. And that's like the idea. And you can see I'm just kind of pulling it all around. Okay. Now we're going to start adding the chicken stock. And you want to go slow with it. So I'm adding a little, and then I'm stopping. And I guys want you to know, I haven't added any of those seasonings yet. And there's a reason. When you're cooking on these high heats, that actually takes away. You're cooking out the flavor rather than sealing it in. So that's why we make up this roux first. And look at that, see? It's like a gravy almost. We're going to add a little bit more and stir it around. And put the rest of it in. You want to really make sure there's no clumps in this flour, and you know, so, because really this is your thickening. You can make this without flour, by the way. You can make it with cornstarch, or you can make it as is, no flour, and you know, add all your liquids, and then take something like xanthan. This is just like great value brand. Xanthan is gluten-free. It's also called Glucy. And all it is a thickener. And it's also okay for people that have, you know, like celiac issues. Because like you can't use anything like cornstarch or malted or anything like that if you have like celiac. All right, so we got this all going here. So we're going to add all the carrots, all of our potatoes here. Start to stir it around. I think I'm going to add a little bit more liquid. And I'm going to turn it up because we want to get it. I'm actually going to take the dirty measuring cup here that was for the chicken stock and put water right in it. And I'll see as I go, because I'm probably not going to use another 2 cups. So I'm just going to set this off to the side, because remember, we're going to be using 2 cups of this milk, which I might as well measure out in a minute here. But so now I turned the heat up, and we're going to try to get it about to a boiling point. So you can see here, I am actually using the shelf milk like I said I was going to use. And as I'm pouring it, I'm hoping my husband got this. As I'm pouring it, it's not some weird looking milk. It's not chunky. It looks like 1% milk.
It's not Star Wars blue milk either.
Yeah, it's not blue milk.
It actually doesn't taste too far different from real milk.
No, it doesn't. I mean, our girls drink it. Our girls drink it for, you know, like they'll put it on their cereal. You know, if we don't have chocolate milk in the house and we gotta make it, you know, with like your chocolate sauce, that's fine too. So I'm just gonna thin this out just a tad. It's a tiny bit of water at this point because I can feel. So as I turn the heat up to high, I can feel that the bottom is starting to thicken and stick to the pan. And we don't want that. But so we got our stuff ready. We got our milk. We got our cheese. Water if we need it. Salt. The sour cream is going to go in at about the same time as the milk. But first, we got to get this up. We got to get this really hot now because it's going to cook for a little bit. But we got our seasonings. I'm doing a few inclusions, which you'll see. And later on, we're going to add the ham, bacon.
Pig meat.
So can you tell when I start looking at the camera that's when you should change it?
For the most part. I mean, I just go by rough feel when I think you need it changed.
Okay.
So. Otherwise, they're going to start thinking you're like looking through the camera at them, glaring like, ah. Like, I pay active attention to tell when to change it. Do you want me to add a blank scene for when you're doing it solo so that you can actually just go to the blank scene when you're not actively recording? Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yep. You're on face cam.
Okay, guys. So this is heated up. It's boiling now, and that's when we got to turn it down, and we're gonna add the rest of our liquid because it's, as you can see, as I'm stirring it here, it's getting hard for me. It was sticking to the bottom, and that's because of that flour roux. But that is going to be so nice and thick and make some beautiful soup. So here we go. Can you see the bubble? So one thing I've showed you guys many times in the past, a boil is boiling when it's not arrested as I'm stirring it. So I'm going to start to add the milk. Over here. I'm going to turn this down to a medium and stir all this in. That already looks so great. Actually, I'm going to turn it back up on high because we want to get this boiling again. And then we're going to let it simmer in this milk roux and whatnot. But I wanted to give it a good stir because we want to include the milk completely into the roux that we made. And you can see here, you know, it's got like kind of a yellow color. But so now as it's starting to bring up its boil, I'm going to add the seasoning. So we got some rosemary. I'm going to do a little bit of salt. Boo, 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 boo. Some pepper. This is basil. There's the mustard. And just a dash of savory. You guys can make your own savory at home. I'd say like, just stir that all in. See, it's got really nice color into it now.
Or as Penny would say, it's got green in it. Her new favorite color is orange now. After her red birthday party.
Need a little bit more. So I did turn it back up on high, but you can see it's like very creamy at the moment, but not as creamy as it can be. And that's because it's got to boil, and then we got to bring it back down to a simmer. But as for the savory mix that I was talking about, you guys can always have, down south I believe they call it all-purpose. Up here in the north we call it savory. Excuse me. So what is savory? Savory is a mixture usually of like tarragon, rosemary, basil, oregano, thyme leaves, parsley, celery leaves. I think that's like the baseline. Marjoram maybe. But, you know, I think people have their own, you know, savory or all-purpose mix. So that's kind of your call. I myself change it up. They almost all the time for every recipe. But I think the baseline of that, of this, what I've got like next to nothing left here, is everything I just mentioned. And you can just buy these ingredients from the dollar store if they have, oh, I'm sorry, the 125 store if they have them. Or you can buy them from Walmart. That's where I've seemed to find, you know, the cheapest spices. Now, if you're at the food cupboard or like any of your, you know, local food pantries, and you have you have a chance to choose off their shelves, and you see spices, I'd grab them then, because they're just so expensive. And it's really sad if certain things on their shelves aren't taken in a certain amount of time, they actually have to throw them into the garbage. You know, so last time I was there, I actually got pork neck bone, and the reason for that is because I wanted to make a couple of different soups, but especially I wanted to make southern green beans and ham and red beans and rice. And what I can do with it is roast it in the oven, get it a nice, you know, flavor with, you know, some spices or something, and then later on you'd actually put that in your pot, and the bone, it will cook out with the bone. So don't even be afraid to get things like that, because I mean, if you got a recipe that says, oh, you need smoked ham hocks or something, and you're just like, where the heck am I going to get that? Then you go look at the price and you're just like, geez, never mind. Well, substitution here, because really it's not necessarily the hocks or the feet, it's really the bone and the meat on it. So it's just something for you to think about. And truthfully, as we're making these recipes, the biggest thing I want you guys to see is that you can make this homemade. I mean, from start to finish, this soup's only going to take 60 minutes. Maybe 55. And then let's and these are freezer friendly. So if you guys have freezer space, you can put them in 16-ounce containers or 32-ounce containers, and bam, you got a dinner. Me, I would can it, but that's just me. I've got the big pressure canner, and we can do, like 32-ounce quart-sized jars of soup, which not only is cool to give away to your friends, but it's great for a night where you're just like, I don't want to cook anything. But I will say this. When we started thinking about what we were putting in our kids' bellies, and we started using the food pantry more, um, we started giving our kids less chicken nuggets, less French fries, less, you know, three meat hot dogs, less three meat hot dogs. We stopped giving them SpaghettiOs out of a can, and we started making it ourselves. So Priscilla is all for, I will eat that, I will try it, and I will let you know if I don't like it. Penelope, a little bit older, and we'd already been feeding her like nuggets and fries and this and that. She has a little hard time eating this stuff. So there's a lot of nights like Art will be, Art, if you're watching, you can attest to this. She's complaining and it's a struggle through the meal. But yeah, it's a struggle. And we're constantly telling her to pick up her spoon and stop telling us a story. Or, there's been a lot of nights of negotiation, or a lot of nights of her going to bed right after dinner and not staying up to, read us a story, or have a little bit more playtime, or have dessert. Like last night, I made brownie cookies and everybody got to have some. Penny finally finished her meal, so she got to have some. But ultimately, would you rather have the struggle, or would you rather feed your kids garbage? So that's just something for you guys to think about. All right, so this is starting to boil here now, and I just want you to see. I'm stirring it, and you can see some activity, but we're not at a complete boil, because I'm stirring it, and it's not like going right back to a complete boil. But you can see, so in the overhead cam that you guys have this view of the pot, you can see it's bubbling here, bubbling there. So we're getting to the point where it's going to be, where it's not going to be arrested. As I stop, it's going to keep going. And this smells gorgeous. But you see, I'll stir it, and then I'll stop, and it's coming back up to a boil. So now we're at the point where I can lower it to between medium and low, because with this countertop stove, I'm not completely used to all the settings on it as to here that I cook on like daily. That looks great. So now I'm going to be letting it simmer, and then I'm going to put it on the timer for about, I want to do 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then we'll check it. So then at that 25-minute mark is when we're going to add our sour cream. But in the meantime, as the 25 minutes is going down, I'm going to walk away, kind of throwing some laundry in and out. But I'll be coming back here and, giving it a little bit of a stir, seeing if it needs a little liquid, because you're going to cook, you're going to lose some of this liquid. Seeing if it needs a little bit of liquid. My husband will probably give it a couple of taste tests in the meantime, but that'll be tasting without the sour cream. And also for this soup, we're going to remove some, use the emulsifier and blend it up, and then add it back. But we're going to let it go for a little bit. It's going to do its own thing. It smells absolutely gorgeous, and We'll be back. So I just threw in some laundry and got the stuff in the dryer, and I'm coming back, and you know this is on a really good simmer, so I just want to keep it stirred because I don't want to burn what's on the bottom of the pan. I mean, it could really change the flavor, and I really want to stress that. But it doesn't seem like it needs any more liquid at the moment, and it's looking really good. And you'll see it. It'll start to get some more activity after stirring it. You can see it right there. All right. So you see, every now and then I'm coming back to check on it, give it a good stir, and it's really simmering here. So I need to turn it down. And I'm glad I gave it a good stir. So notice I have not added the cheese here, or the sour cream yet. But we shall get there. And substitution. If you do not have sour cream, you can use plain Greek yogurt. Exactly the same thing. Alright guys, can you see I'm back again stirring, and that's really important because with these kind of chowder like soups, you'll see they'll form a skin on it. I hope in the editing you can see what's going on here. Sorry about the background noise. But you know, keeping the bottom of the pan from the flour, the starchiness of this soup burning to the bottom of this pan while it's simmering and cooking, that's like super important. I mean, so the potatoes are really not as tender as they should be, and doesn't seem like the carrots are yet either. So they're still we're gonna be having a little bit of longer cooking time here. But they're getting there, and it smells gorgeous. I'm hoping my husband returns soon so he can be the taste tester. But yeah, it's just really important to come back every now and then and stir everything up. And keep your countertops clean. Okay, so this has been simmering, and a couple times I've returned to come back and stir it, making sure that the bottom didn't, the roux's not sticking to the bottom of the pan. I adjusted the temperature a couple of times because it really got going there. But really, it was important to make sure that it wasn't burning to the bottom of the pan. So we're almost coming down to our 25 minutes. And one thing we have to check is are these carrots tender? Because this soup's so hot, I'm not even going to try to touch it with my hands. But grab a piece of carrot, see if you can take a spoon and easily slice through it, and I can't. It's too hard. And as for the potatoes, they're about getting there. So once we get to the end of the 25 minutes, that's when we're going to add, probably let it go a little bit further, probably get another 5 minutes, because we want to make sure that these carrots are tender. I mean, that's super important. When the 25 minutes are up, 25 to 30 minutes are up, that's when we're going to actually add the sour cream and the cheese. And turn the heat off, and once this is melted and everything's incorporated, that's when you remove like a couple of cups of soup, blend it up, and then add it back to it. So as you can see, I'm continuing to stir here. And I got a little one in the background who's asking for help.
I gotta go potty.
Don't be surprised about our littles in the background. But it's got a good simmer on. You just, like I said, it's very imperative that as you're boiling it, as you're simmering it for that 25-30 minutes, that you're continuing to, come back every now and then and just give it a good stir. I'm putting 10 minutes on. So, and I'll just return every now and then and give it a good stir. Alright guys, so we're back, and I added the 10 minutes, but we're down to 3.5. And I wanted to show you that the carrots are actually where they need to be at. They're very, very tender. They're soft. You can, break them up and stuff like that. And the potatoes are right where they need to be too. So we're still on medium low. So I'm going to add all of this cheese. And it's calling for a half a cup of sour cream. That's about what I got left in here. So I'm going to completely add all of that. So I neither have, I don't have any Greek yogurt, and I don't have any more sour cream. What I do have is some vanilla yogurt. And I'm going to tell you the truth, actually, adding some vanilla yogurt is not going to change it very much. So I'm going to add just a little bit, okay? In a pinch, though, you could make your own sour cream, which is pretty simple. We're going to add just a little bit of vanilla yogurt. It's really not going to change the flavor. And it's not going to take from or add to. Alright, so now we're going to start to stir it. I'm going to turn off the heat completely. And all we're going to do now is Andrew's going to come around and give it a good taste. Before we blend it, because it's really, really, really important to taste it before you blend it.
This is good.
It's good?
Yeah, no salt, no nothing.
That's great.
Potatoes could probably cook just a little more.
What?
The potatoes could probably cook just a little more.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're going to turn this back on. So we want to get that back up because we arrested it by adding the cream, the sour cream, the yogurt, and cheese. So we got to get it back up to a boiling point again. I mean, a good simmer, not a rolling boil. And we want to make sure at this point, now that there's all this cream in it, that we keep stirring it. So once it starts bubbling again, that's when I'm going to turn the timer on. I'm going to want to keep it at a simmer, and then I'm going to give it a good 10 minutes on the simmer. All right, you can see it's starting to boil here. And it's a good sign too. That means the soup was pretty hot before I had to start it back up again. Because as I'm stirring it, it's still got activity. So this would be a good point to add my timer. And as you can see, I already got my emulsifier out. Let's say you don't have that. That's fine. Maybe you got a old-fashioned blender or something, right? Or maybe you have a hand mixer. When you use the hand mixer or even the emulsifier, you got to be careful that soup's not splashing back up at you, because it's going to get hot and you could get burnt. So that's one thing to watch out for. But yeah, I mean, if you had a blender, you're only going to blend a couple of cups of this soup. If you had, like, and just like the hand mixer here, or your hand mixer with the beaters, all can be used. I mean, somebody might even have a potato masher. Might take a little bit more time, but it works. I mean, if this is soft enough, it will work. But you can see it's actually doing a great job thickening, because as I'm stirring it, you can see the bottom of the pan at times. And that's something I showed you yesterday when we were cooking that pea soup. I'm sorry, not the pea soup, the chicken Alfredo. So the Alfredo mix is like the same thing. But I just want to kind of, come back every now and then and keep it stir it up, because you don't want it to burn to the bottom of the pan. All right, so I'm coming back to stir. And we're only at 6 minutes in. But Andrew's going to give it another quick taste test. You want to taste the carrot too? See how
you insist.
They're nice and soft as well.
Yeah, the carrot.
Great. All right. So now we can turn it off.
Oh, turn the timer off too.
I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to get my trivet. Again, another blessed-free item. So I'm going to move the soup over here. Unplug my stovetop. These get really hot. So even grabbing on the sides, they're a little bit too hot. So at times you're going to need to pick this up with, if you're using this, pick it up with, oven mitts. But I'm going to put this off to the side. And just so you know, I'll be cleaning that up later. So I'm going to wipe up my counter a little bit. Okay. Move my soup to right here. I'm going to use a nice mixing bowl here. And this is really heavy. This is actually a very old Rubbermaid that I picked up for free at, I think it's like one of the clothing rooms or something. I think I have household wares for free. So you guys, when you see something like this, and just because it's been used doesn't mean that it's not good. These are actually better made. Okay? So here's another tip and trick. A ladle this size or this size, that is usually 1 cup. And I'll prove it to you. Here's 1 measuring cup. And I'm going to put some soup in it over the top. in which just about a cup. Now, let's say you find a ladle this size, which this is actually a jam ladle. You're going to take, see, that's even closer to a cup. So if, let's say you don't want to dirty a cup, you know, you can actually be about 1 or 2 ladlefuls is a cup. So I got 2 cups in here. And do you want to make it a creamier chowder? You can. That's what I usually do. So I'm going to, for good measure, the Lord's our good measure, I'm actually going to add another ladleful. All right. Put that out to the side. Plug in my emulsifier here. I bought this used actually on Facebook Marketplace for $5. These things go for like 100. So it's got 2 settings. Where's the setting size? It's got 2 settings. So it's got like a 1 and a 2. Oh, it's on the top here. A 1 and a 2. You want to start at a 1. And I think I've told you in the past, these holes in the sides here, this is what pulls the food in. So you want to get it below, the liquid line when you're starting to mix it. So I'm going to turn it on. And I'm going to turn it up. My hand's hurting here. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? All right. I'm going to put this right off to the side. So, nice creamy soup here. Can you see that? All right, so now we're going to move this over here. And we're going to put it all together. Goes the rest of our timer. All right, now stir. And you can see it is much creamier, right? Let me move this a little bit further so my husband can get right under the webcam there. Okay, so now we've come to the end of everything now. We're going to add our ham. Now, say you wanted to garnish it with ham later on, don't add it all at once, okay? I'm going to stir this all together. And Andrew's going to come around and give it another tasty test. Clean up my counter. love it. All right. So, what are things that you can garnish the soup with? Some green onions, some more hammer bacon, more cheese. Gotta have more cheese when you serve this soup. Uh, Bacon bits. I don't recommend those. You can make your own. I don't recommend them because what they preserve them with is not good for you. Uh, what else? Chili powder. Some people like putting more hot sauce on it, but that's pretty much. This is a great soup, a great meal. One of the things Penelope does not complain about. But besides this, let's check this out. So here's our bread. Isn't this gorgeous? And it is. Are we on the face cam?
Yeah, because you
Okay,
wanted to show
sorry
the top
about that,
of it.
guys.
Show the top of it.
It's squishy. It's got a nice crusty bottom to it and a beautiful crust. And all I'm going to do now is just wrap it in some plastic wrap and get it ready for my friend Donna to pick up.
She made one of these loaves and she turned it into French toast, and the salt actually on top of the crust made the French toast like extra really flavorful.
Very savory. But so that's it, guys. We're done for today, and just want to say thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys learned something. I'm always learning something every time I make these videos, and I'm just learning something from the Lord every day. And as I'm sitting here with my husband, I have to tell you, Andrew, come around here for a minute. It's on face cam, right?
Yeah.
So sitting here with Andrew today, we had a little bit of tips back and forth because it was like 3 times now I've done it by myself. And let me tell you about the inability to surrender. You ask your husband for help, but then you have an inability to surrender to letting him do it. And that's an awful thing, and I'm sorry. But really it was because of like trying to control like where the face cam was, or the webcam looks down on the stove, and yeah. And I'm sure, as I'm saying this, maybe some of you can identify with that. And, that's really where the Lord is at with all of us, not just me or not just my husband, with all of us. He's asking us to surrender so that he can do the work. And here I was having Andrew film, and I should have just surrendered it to him, trusting him that he's going to get this right. Because he also edits them too. I'm not even at that point.
And my job as the person behind the camera is so that she can focus 100% on here instead of on the cameras.
So.
But it's okay. I still love you anyways.
Thank you. That's my fleshy flesh. Even getting in, that gets in the Lord's way. It 100% gets in the Lord's way. And Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd. A sheep can't go up to the shepherd and say, well, I think you should be doing it this way, and we should be grazing over here. Not the point. And I'm not saying we should be dumb sheep in front of the Lord, because he didn't give us a brain and feelings and skills and, or to be a mom and a wife. He didn't give those things to us, without a purpose. But what he also says is, what's a greater testament is trusting in him, trusting in my husband, surrendering it to him, surrendering things to my husband so that these filming times are good times. And I'm getting a little teary-eyed because I know it's my flesh coming out. But we're all a work in progress. Until the Lord takes us home, we're going to be an endless construction zone. But wouldn't it be nice if he fixed this portion and we moved on to the next and didn't have to keep coming back and checking on what he did? Because it takes away from what the Lord did. And that just totally took away from what my husband did for me this morning. So keep us in prayer. We could keep you in prayer. You can always message or text me And just so you know, just because we say we're Christians does not mean that we got it all figured out at all. But praise the Lord that He waits for us. I mean, if Gideon can tell him, "Can you wait here while I go prepare a sacrifice just to make sure that you're the Lord?" And the Lord says, "Okay, I'll wait." Or if like Abraham and Sarah, they prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed, no kid. Well, then she went beyond the Lord's will, and Ishmael was produced. But still, the Lord kept His promise. In their old age, along comes Isaac.
And even with Ishmael, it was still a promise kept because, Ishmael's line is just as big, if not bigger, than Israel's line.
It's right.
It's because it's still Abraham's seed. It's still in the covenant.
But
now there's contention between the two, which you have your Palestinians and you have your Israelis.
But still, like, the Lord waits for us. If He did a good work here, He doesn't want you to go back and check on it. He wants you to be like, well, let's move on to the next good work and mature and grow up and learn something from me. Follow me, serve me, because I only have good things for you. So, even my flesh got in the way today. But anyway, we love you guys. Big hearts. Don't forget the Lord loves you too. Bye. Did this sound like it was breaking?
It sounded like it was stalling, but it might have just been thick